I'm taking my trip in the heart, to the heart of Online Printers, which is one of the leading online printing companies in Europe. I'm here today in Fürth, Germany, in the headquarters of the company, along with Christian Strasheim, who is the head of online shop management. And so thanks, Christian, for seeing me today.
Hello, Enzo. Welcome to Onlineprinters. Thanks for having me.
So, first of all, Christian, when did you start your career, your experience here at Onlineprinters, and what type of skills, what type of experience did you bring to the company?
Actually, I've almost been with Onlineprinters for 4 years, so started late in 2018. I was involved in the internet and in e-commerce for a lot of years, selling a lot of physical goods, services online, covering basically the whole value chain from user experience to customer sales to SEO, all those different aspects. So I was very excited when I was able to join Onlineprinters and kind of enter a very new industry.
Christian, how much do online sales account for the total company turnover?
Very good question. Actually, Onlineprinters itself, the heart of the company, the core of the company, is driven very much by online sales. So in excess of 90% of our orders are coming from the online channel.
And in how many languages and how many countries is your website active today, and how many efforts, how many people are necessary to keep it always update and versioned in all these many, different versions?
Actually, I had to look at those numbers up myself because there are so many languages, countries and shops that we're dealing with. So to be precise, it's 10 languages and it's 15 countries. So it's a lot of complexity that we are handling here. And the only way to be able to do that is to have the multi-language skill really deeply involved or deeply embedded in the teams. So basically all the teams in marketing, in customer service, they have some very strong international components. Besides, we do have a translation process in place. So more or less everything is done first in German or in English, kind of depends, and then being translated in all the other languages that we are serving. We also have some really language-specific activities when it comes, for example, to SEO. You just can't simply translate things. You really have to understand what the native terms are. I think we are doing quite well in covering that. So coming back to your question, how many people are required to do that? Honestly, it's a bit difficult to tell how many people are really involved in that international part because it's so deeply embedded in our teams. But I would say probably it's 10, 15 people who kind of are added to the team efforts to really make that possible in all those languages and countries that we're serving.
How many orders do you receive every year, and how many in a super busy day? And what is the average delivery time and minimum delivery time of your orders?
In terms of orders per year, I'm not at liberty to give specific numbers, but let's suffice to say it's in excess of 100,000 orders a year. So on an average working day, I would say it's roughly 5,000 orders. And if you look at seasonality, of course, on a busy day, it can go quite beyond that, like 6,000, 7,000 orders a day. So quite a lot of volume. Delivery times, it depends a lot on where the order is going to. In Germany and in most neighboring countries, we are able to do almost, in most cases, even with a standard delivery, a next day delivery. Usually in more remote areas, it takes an additional day. And well, there are some areas, like for example in southern Italy, it might add another day. So to handle and to address all this, we kind of broaden the carrier choices that we give our customers. So besides DPD, which is our standard carrier, we've been using UPS for more than a year now. And using their express service, we can basically reach most of Europe the next day or one day later.
What is the most distant destination that you can reach, and which is the least accessible place for you to ship your printed items?
I think the most difficult places are usually the islands, no matter in which country. So whether it's in Germany, the islands are tricky, but of course in other countries like in Italy or in Spain, it can also be tricky. In pure distance itself is not so much a challenge. So we deliver to Scandinavia, as I mentioned, to southern Italy also. So that's not the really difficult part, but the islands tend to be tricky because they always add a day or two.
Yeah, in fact, I've always been curious looking, I'm Italian, I'm based in Italy, and I've always been curious looking at your website in the shipment conditions, and there are some special places where you clearly don't deliver for other reasons. And there is a particular island called Ischia, is just in front of Naples. It's not so far away from the mainland, but it's the only small island where you don't deliver in Italy.
Right. This is usually due to some restrictions with the carriers. In some cases, it just adds another day. In some cases, the carriers kind of decline to deliver to those places. But that's kind of beyond our control. We try to find a work around it if we have a situation like that, using a different carrier, but choices are somewhat limited then.
How many registered users do you have to the website, and how many new users do you get again every year or on a weekly basis?
The first both questions are a bit difficult to answer. The first one, over the time of the years, or over time, we have served more than 1 million customers. So basically, if you, in technical terms, talk about registered users, that's more or less the number. Of course, not all of them are active anymore. When it comes to new users, that also depends very much on our marketing activities. Usually, leaving the pandemic situation aside, roughly 10% of our business is coming from new customers. So basically, if you take those 100,000 orders a year, 10,000 roughly, I would say, coming from recently acquired customers. But of course, that varies very much on our ongoing marketing expenses.
How many customers order on a regular basis, and how many of them do it only once? And how do you build up your customer loyalty?
Actually, we have very different types of customers. We have very intense customers who place dozens, if not 100 orders per month. But we also have just the very opposite, customers who just come to us once, they are happy with the experience, everything's working fine, but we're not seeing them again. So demand on the customer side is really the key driver for repeat business. So we're kind of more or less dependent on the customer's need. We try everything to make the customers happy so that they come back. Beyond that, of course, we have certain loyalty programs, mainly for large customers, key accounts. We have special incentives for them in place, but the key is still making the customer happy.
Are there some periods of the year that are warmer in terms of volume of order coming in, and others that are cooler? And which factors can determine it, can lead to a decrease or an increase of the orders?
There's indeed very specific seasonality in that business. What is to be expected is certainly a slow time during summer, mainly in July and August. It's a slow time due to the high level of business that we do mainly in Southern Europe. I think I don't have to explain that those months tend to be very slow, which is fine for us because that's also the vacation time, the preferred vacation time for our employees. And the other seasonality we see at the end of the year, usually it's very busy from, let's say, early October to mid-December. And in mid-December, you kind of see a radical drop. So basically from then on, like 2-3 weeks, it's very slow business. But everything before the Christmas season is probably the most active season in the year.
Yeah, as it is for every other printing companies. And what about these special occasions like Valentine's Day or the Mother's Day? Is also a way to order some items, some giveaways, and so for online printers is results in a higher amount of orders. Is it a trend or not too much?
No, usually the holidays are not such a strong driver because it's on a very specific segment of what we produce. We've seen other events, other occasions where we see stronger business. For example, the trade show times, typically early in the year, like in March, and later in the year in September, October, they tend to be drivers for demand. And beyond that, elections are
yes, of course.
an important effect. We've seen that over the past years. So it's not only that we get orders from the political parties and other people involved in the elections themselves, but we of course see also some kind of overflow due to limited capacity at other print shops that's driving business to us. So probably that's the biggest driver. Good news is, since we are active in so many European countries, we are usually not overwhelmed by the demand, because this demand is usually a local one.
Are your products, the entire catalog, available to all the markets, or are there any geographical difference? And what is the best-selling product at all, the best-selling overall?
We try to keep our product range identical in all of our markets, just to keep the complexity as low as possible, because whenever you have to deal with differences in different markets, it's just making things complicated. So I would say more or less the product range is the same in all markets. There are a few exceptions, mainly for Switzerland, when you think in terms of customs, some shipping issues, but that's rather a limited part of our product range. So. In terms of the best-selling product, I think in all of the typical print products we are quite strong. We have a specific strength in brochures and catalogs. This is something that I've learned that Onlineprinters is especially good at doing in terms of quality, price ratio. So if it's one product, it's certainly brochures that's selling particularly well.
How do you adjust your prices? How do you manage to be always very competitive, and if possible more competitive than your competition? And which is the particular product where you are really unbeatable in terms of pricing?
First of all, I think you have to keep in mind that price is one major factor in determining where people actually go buy their print products. But it's, from our experience, both market research, customer feedback, it's not the most relevant aspect. It's certainly one important one, but other ones like reliability, quality, they are even more prominent from the customer's point of view. Having said that, in terms of pricing, the whole industry has been not so dynamic in the past as I've seen other industries being. So when you look at our competitors, and we have a lot of technology in place to really monitor prices on an ongoing basis, we haven't seen too much activity over the past couple of years. It has changed recently. Certainly the pandemic has been a driver there. Paper price increases have been a driver there. So we are actually, first step of our pricing activities is understanding what competitors are doing and trying to find the perfect positioning for us. So in terms of what we actually do when it comes to prices, we try to be as competitive as possible. A very big part of that is always being on the leading edge of production technology. So we introduced a lot of innovative machinery in our production facilities. Let's just mention the high-speed inkjet printing, which has been a major story over the past 2 years, which helps us to be more competitive. And then we basically we'll look at the competitor prices and see what we can do.
Thanks, Christian. Thank you so much for your time and for helping me to learn more about the online shop strategy here at Onlineprinters.
Thank you, Lorenzo.